So we are now getting underway with our official formation lap for our last superheat of the 2023 Rotax Max Challenge Golden Trophy. It's DD2 Masters. Here is your starting grid. On pole position from Denmark, it's going to be Jannik Nielsen in the 507 that starts from pole position. Joining him on the front row is countryman Nikolai Christensen in the 508. It's Germany and Cyprus, row 2, the 510 of Bastian Krapov and the 503 of Igor Mukin. Row 3, it's Luca Filipponi from Belgium in the 582 on the inside of row 3, joined by Switzerland's Dimo Nota Francesco in the 590. It's France and Belgium on row 4 with Jonathan Wimont from France in the 560 and Wim Rouleau in the 554. Lennart Schreiber from Germany in the 524 starts 9th, ahead of S.H. Moon from South Korea, and Kamil Kubera in the 599 representing the Czech Republic brings up the rear of the field. Revs rise and the lights go out for the last super heat of the weekend. There was one driver that was actually out of the tram lines by, I think, all four wheels by what I saw. As well, someone's had a bit of a drama coming out of turn number 3. That was the 503 of Igor Mukin from Cyprus. But it's a Danish 1-2, and it's not Jannik Nielsen leading. It is Nikolai Christensen that leads the way in the 508s for RS competition. Igor Mukin looks to be more than likely a bit further up the order, as in behind the two Danes. And in third place, that is the 510. Great to see an FM Racing stickered kart for the first time. So, Maxi Fleischmann, are you hiding somewhere? Right, okay, but, however, Lennart Schreiber steamrolls up the inside of Bastian Krapov going through into turn 2. Krapov runs right through 3, and Lennart Schreiber gets through. So does Luca Filipponi from Belgium. The 582 with Sheepers Racing, little bit of a contretemps just behind them. One on a Sodi kart, one on an OTK. So that might have been Igor Mukin versus Jonathan Wimont. That would be for 6th position. So the drivers make their way through. Jannik Nielsen has retaken the lead off of Nikolai Christensen in the meantime. But Lennart Schreiber is closing on in. The driver from Germany in the 524 makes it the top 3 covered by 4.5 tenths of a second. So Igor Mukin now up to 6th. Jonathan Wimont down to 7th. Wim Rouleau, Dimo Nota Francesco, Kamil Kubera and S.H. Moon round out the field. All 11 drivers still running, covered by around about 5 seconds at this moment. So, first penalty being issued. It's 5 seconds for S.H. Moon from South Korea. I think that might have been for the tramline infraction in the start phase. So, there you go. It can just always showcase that one mistake that's made can cost you an opportunity to be a bit further up the order. So, Jannik Nielsen has a lead of about 2 tenths of a second. But it's not over yet in the battle for P3 because Luca Filipponi has closed on in to Lennart Schreiber for third place. Bastian Karpov and Igor Mukin are rounding out the top 6, and the two at the back end of this four-kart battle are closing in on the two in front. And at the minute, Lennart Schreiber still holding on to that third place. But Karpov and Mukin closing in on Filipponi, so there could be a possibility of a positional change very, very soon, as we still have 8 minutes to go, plus an additional lap. Just behind them, there is the 560, that's the 560 of Jonathan Wimore, as Wim Rouleau from Sheepers Racing dives up the inside at turn 7. Great move there. Just textbook of when you've got a lot of experience around this circuit. It's an easy move to facilitate down the Europlan, where you're going to be pulling north of about 115, 120 kilometers per hour in a DD2 or a DD2 Masters, and you're hard on the brakes. You're trying to turn the kart in onto that chicane because it's basically as a right, left, right flick of a chicane to deal with. So you're trying to carry that momentum through. But change for third. Nice move there by Luca Filipponi on Lennart Schreiber. Nearly opened the doors there for Igor Mukin. As for those wondering, well, DD2 at the moment are still filtering their way through, still being weighed by our team, led by our chief scrutineer, Paul Clarkson. There's a great team underneath him to facilitate all the technical side of things in terms of checking everything from a technical perspective post-session. So 6 minutes and 40 seconds still to go. Yannick Nielsen is starting to pull away from Nikolai Christensen. The gap now is around about 3 3/4 tenths of a second. But knowing Nikolai Christensen, he might start to close that gap up. It's gone down to by a tenth. Luca Filipponi is trying to close into those in front, but he's way off. He's way off. He's about 2 tenths of a second behind the two Danes that are charging away into the distance. They're about 1.6 seconds up the road. But Lennart Schreiber is about 1.2 seconds behind third position now. So this is where things get very, very critical in terms of positioning, because at the end of this, we'll have the intermediate classification, not the ranking after the heats, the intermediate the final intermediate classification. So after all the points have been tabulated, then that will decide the grid for the finals later on. And they start at 2:30 p.m. as Nikolai Christensen tried to thread the eye of the needle to get past Yannick Nielsen. This is, the thing is, they're countrymen, they're good friends, and what's more, it's even worse for Robert Schlunsen, because he'll have kittens if they take each other out. They're teammates, folks. So this is where you just have to err on the side of caution. And still the battle for fourth place is raging on pretty well. Lennart Schreiber still leads that gaggle of 3 karts, but not by much. Yannick Nielsen leads us over the line to complete lap 8. And he's just over 2 tenths ahead of Nikolai Christensen, and Christensen has retaken the lead back from Yannick Nielsen. But then you have to look at the battle between 4th, 5th and 6th. Lennart Schreiber, Igor Mukin and Bastian Karpov are still battling away. Luca Filipponi is pulled away from them. Mukin now leads that, so he's up to 4th, the driver representing Cyprus. So with 3 3/4 minutes still to go. There's still time for things to change. And whether that might transpire is something for these drivers to decide about. Not me, because I'm up here high and dry, so to speak. But with coming up to 3 minutes and 20 seconds, Nikolai Christensen has the lead in the superheat. Won't put him ahead of Yannick Nielsen going into the final later on, because Yannick Nielsen took 2 wins yesterday. Christensen is slightly behind him on points, but it might put Christensen on the front row with Nielsen when we go racing for the final at 4:35 p.m. this afternoon. And still, it's a showcase between the 2 RS competition drivers, both from the land of Denmark, a lovely country that I've been able to visit multiple times over the past few years. But Nikolai Christensen still hanging on to the lead. Yannick Nielsen, was he going to try and stick a nose up the inside of his countryman? I don't think he would. Robert Schlunsen, are your fingernails being bitten to the quick? I'm sure you're... Well, he's got probably... When I spoke to Robert, actually, when was it? It was Friday afternoon before qualifying. He said, yeah, I've got over 20 drivers here. So a tenth of the grid in total is comprised of drivers from RS competition. Dan Holland, I don't know how many drivers you've got, but there's quite a few of the DHR karts around, especially in micros, minis, juniors and seniors this weekend. But it's still quite interesting to see the dynamic between these 2 Danes at the front end of the field. Fastest lap of the race has been set just now, a 54.666 by Nikolai Christensen. Well, I've also seen that it's also been set by Yannick Nielsen as well. He's running in second position, so just over a tenth and a half separating the 2 Danes as the timer is continuing to count down to 0, and then after that we'll have 1 more lap remaining. So we're on to lap number 12. I think they're looking for the perfect photo op of these 2. the perfect photo opportunity. And Robert Schlunsen, I hope you got a photographer arranged for that. But still, it's just over 0.13 between them. It was 0.169 on the previous tour. Yannick Nielsen, fastest lap of the race, 54.575. So managed to claw that back ever so slightly. So leaders making their way out of turn number 9 with about 23 seconds on the timer remaining. It might be nip and tuck. We might be on the last lap next time around. They're coming through out of turn number 11. At breakneck speed into turn 12. Hard on the brakes, rotate the kart through the apex. Let it run a little bit wide. 4 seconds on the timer. 2 laps to go, including this one. And Yannick Nielsen now decides, thank you, Nikolai, I'll take that. I'll get the lead back. So, Martin Christensen. I thought I felt my ears burning in the YouTube chat. He wonders if they've got the cojones for doing the CKR 100cc European Grand Prix next year. Well, we might have to get Robert to cajole them into it, as long as there's not another race clashing at the same weekend. But the timer has expired. We now have hit 0 for all of the superheats, all 9 of them this morning, as the finals will be a winner-take-all spectacular here at the home of champions. 1 more lap to go. Yannick Nielsen leads an RS competition and Danish 1-2, with teammate and countryman Nikolai Christensen not too far behind him, about a tenth and a half adrift. Luca Filipponi from Belgium rounds out the top 3, followed by Lennart Schreiber, Bastian Krapov, and Wim Hulot. Well, it's Luca Filipponi, Igor Mukin, Lennart Schreiber, Bastian Krapov, who round out the top 6. SH Moon is still running, but has been given a 5-second post-race time penalty, more than likely for 4 wheels out of the tram lines, as our leaders make their way out of turn 9 for the 15th and final time in this DD2 Masters Superheat. So Robert Schlunzen, you can breathe easy now, because out of the final corner, it's a clean sweep once again, a maximum score of 175 points for Yannick Nielsen, putting him on provisional pole for the DD2 Masters final, taking place this afternoon at 4:35 p.m. Nikolai Christensen takes second, Luca Filipponi takes third, Igor Mukin fourth, Lennart Schreiber takes fifth ahead of Bastian Krapov, Wim Hulot, Jonathan Wimmer, Dimo Notofrancesco from Switzerland, Camille Kubera, and great to have South Korean representation here as SH Moon crosses the line, last but by certainly no means least. And that wraps up all our superheats, all 9 of them, as Yannick Nielsen takes a clean sweep in DD2 Masters so far this weekend.